Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 90 of the Level Flight podcast. Another milestone for us. Can't believe it. We are, 10 away from 100, so it feels really more like a stepping stone than another milestone. Um, Today's going to be, a little bit of a shorter episode, but we do have a lot to talk about, mainly because you've probably seen it in the title already. Rick Bowness announced his retirement today. Today is Monday, May 6th. So that's, really the dominant, news out of, the Jets land today. But before we get into any of that, Connor, how are you doing today?
Doing great. A lot of schoolwork that, me and you had to do today, but we got through it. We powered through some big news out of Jetsland. I'm glad that we're able to talk about it here and get our thoughts out. Big news for the season having ended like what, less than a week ago. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, normally we have to wait until, the draft, free
Yeah.
agency, stuff like that before, real bombshells drop. But no, today was, I would say it was an emotional day for a lot of people. It was a definitely a different step in a different direction for the organization now, and it's
hmm
very much the. I think the best way to put it was today was a day to, you know, think about what Rick Bowness did for the team, and tomorrow will be a day where we start wondering who's coming in next. Which
hmm
I don't really want to get too much into that yet. I do, however, want to talk about some of the stuff that Rick Bowness said today in his presser, and I also
hmm
want to sort of address the fact that I know that on this podcast we've had our qualms with Mr. Bowness. I think a lot of people have had their issues with certain things that he's done, but what we can never dispute is the fact that he seems like genuinely just the best person out there. He had a very long, quote today about how, on ice success aside, his heart is placed in the fact that he wants to make sure that the guys and the players that he coaches, he leaves a positive impact on them.
hmm
I know that you saw a lot of, you were doing a lot of coverage on the retirement today, Connor. I
hmm
want to know sort of when you saw that presser, what were you thinking about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna echo your thoughts, but the respect that Rick Bowness commands from people across the NHL, whether it's players, whether it's management, whether it's coaches, everyone. He's coached what 38 seasons it is in the NHL
Insane.
as an assistant and a head coach, like
Over 5
um,
decades.
over 5 decades. Like it's unbelievable how much time he has spent in the NHL, and with that comes a lot of respect. And like you said, we have our issues with maybe his lineup decisions and not playing Nikolai Ehlers on the top line. But hey, newsflash, that's not just Rick Bowness. That's every coach since Nikolai Ehlers was drafted. But what you talked about it as well. What you can't dispute is the respect that he commands, and what you can't dispute, and I wrote this in my article today. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Is he was brought in to change the culture, instill a structure that players could buy into and play at a high level, elite level, and he passed those with A+ marks. Like the culture thing came in, stripped Blake Wheeler of the captaincy, completely shook up the room, gave Adam Lowry the captaincy the next offseason, which has turned out to be like a perfect move. And then the defensive structure. I mean, they won the Jennings this year. And the big reason
Yeah.
was because they were one of the best teams in expected goals against, in large part to that structure that I mentioned. So the two things that he was really brought in to do, I guess three, he mentioned also getting back to the playoffs, which he did in both seasons here, albeit 5 games and out both times. But for me, the culture, the structure, the fact that he's been coaching for 38 seasons and the respect that he commands. I thought it was a great day. I thought his presser was great. Thought it was a great send off, and taking kind of a macro look at his tenure as a Jet. A lot of things do really come into fruition. It's you think to yourself, okay, he did really do a great job. We did talk a lot about how we didn't like this line of decision or that line of decision or the top six, bottom six configuration, but the things he was brought in to do, and that's change the culture, bring in a defensive structure, and make the playoffs, he did all three of those things. So can't really complain there. And one of the most highly respected people in the hockey world.
Well, that's the thing too, and Adam Lowry echoed this as well. He had a media availability after. I know I'm sure there was other guys around, but I know Lowry and Appleton were in attendance. But from what I can tell, everyone has such high regard for him as a person. And I mean, you said it best too, where he came in to accomplish certain things and he did that. Obviously, everyone, himself included, he said his biggest disappointment was this. Obviously, everyone wants to go further in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And that obviously did not happen the last two seasons. But what can't be understated is the stuff that was accomplished. Um and I know that it clearly it leaves a little bit of a damper on things with how things ended this year after such an incredible regular season.
For
But as
sure.
you kind of zooming out a little bit, and the culture shift and the identity and the systems that have been implemented have completely changed the complexion of this franchise. And I mean, I don't think it can be, really overstated as well that his shift in how this organization has sort of started operating likely leads to the re-signing of Scheifele and Hellebuck. Like you get
Hmm.
these guys see that, there's a system being implemented. There's a culture change from the chaos that it was before. And that seemingly has them buy in long term. So the impact that Bonus has clearly had is, immeasurable. And like as we've stated several times, like not every coach is gonna have stuff that you're gonna agree with all the time. Like, I
For
mean, for
sure.
years, I was talking about, the stuff that I didn't like with, Paul Maurice, and every other fan base has their qualms with their head coaches, and it's hard to find, though, the people that can redeem themselves so well outside of the bench, and I'm
Yeah.
just so happy that, he now has the ability to, as he said, he's got some health issues that he has to attend to, for himself. But he also, mentioned the fact that, as we know, earlier this season, his wife Judy had a seizure that he had to leave the team for a couple
Mhm.
weeks there. So he now gets to spend his time with his high school sweetheart that they have been together for all this time through his entire career. They get to, spend the rest of their retirement. He gets to hang out with his grandkids all the time now. Obviously, his son is going to be fairly busy with the Ottawa Senators, but
Yeah.
he has more time now that he can go be with his family. And after 38 years of coaching, I cannot possibly understate how, well deserved this is.
I 100% agree. And the I saw this in the Winnipeg Sports Talk chat because I was watching Rick Bonus's presser through there, and someone said that this doesn't even feel like an exit press conference. This just feels like we're getting wisdom from an older guy, like an old man is just like spreading wisdom. And it's like, yeah, the quote he had about his wife and the ups and downs that they've been through, and how she's always stuck by his side, whether they're moving teams every couple seasons or whatever the case may be, whether he's a player, because we know way back when he did play. Um, that was awesome. And then the quote to me that stuck out, and I posted this as well, where he said, winning Stanley Cup is one thing, and that is important. But over the years, as you age, you just hope you have an impact on your players' lives, off the ice, on the ice. That's been more important to me over the last 10 years. And then Adam Lowry, like an hour later, when he talked about Rick Bonus's thing, said he's never had a coach check in on him this much, asking how he's handling the captaincy, asking about his life outside of hockey. Like the off ice stuff, he's absolutely nailed. And whoa, light show over there.
I don't know what's happening here.
New lights, breaking in new lights. No, but just to wrap up my thoughts, like the off ice stuff can't go understated. And that felt like it was really lacking. And that contributed to the culture shift that I mentioned. And yeah, the press conference was amazing. And I completely echo those thoughts, whoever it was in the WST chat saying, feels like we're just getting life lessons from an old man, because it was incredible. And it was a great send off. He fought back tears a couple times. Like, he clearly loves the game of hockey, loves the game of hockey for a long time. You have to if you're going to coach 40 years. But yeah, it was awesome. I love the presser, and then yeah, all the other stuff. Chevy also was like, "This is Bonus's day. We're not worried about coaching replacements right now. Like, all that other stuff will take care of itself." Today was all about Rick Bonus, and I think he's earned that. Definitely. Maybe he's earned a few days, maybe not just one.
Yeah. I mean that in itself too is kind of how we're approaching it. Like obviously we're about what 8 hours removed from the news
Yeah.
dropping about this. So what we're gonna do, which this is also a good time to bring up. If you didn't see it on Twitter, we kind of laid out our rough content schedule for the off season. So
Mhm.
obviously right now there's still going to be NHL hockey happening. Primarily, we're a hockey podcast, so that's going to be our
Absolutely.
focus for the next little while. We're going to be, checking in on that, and then you've got Gold Eyes starting up in the next week, Sea Bears starting up in the next 2 weeks,
Oh yeah.
Bombers home openers in a month,
Oh yeah.
and I think that we're gonna have enough to talk about in which we are still gonna roll actually. So we've had a lot of talk about this. For the most part, we're gonna roll with the same 3 episodes as long as we have enough to talk about. The Tuesday for us is gonna be the one that if we don't record, it'll probably be that one. Because we're going to keep that one short regardless. And, we'll keep you guys updated. If we're not going to put out an episode Tuesday, it means that there just isn't enough to talk about between LFP Live
Yeah.
and, that Monday recording. But as I just mentioned, LFP Live will be remaining. That's not going to change. There might be a couple things where we might record or do a live stream a little bit later in the day just because of some timing stuff.
Mhm.
Once again, we will keep you fully in the loop on that. But for the most part, we're going to keep, rolling along here as much as we possibly can. And to get back to sort of the original point, when we record on Wednesday, we're going to put some more thought into some possible, coaching search candidates. Obviously,
Mhm.
we know that at least what we've kind of gathered is the respect for Scott Arniel is definitely going to play a role in this.
Mhm.
And there's been a lot of speculation that he is the front runner, but maybe it's not as much of a slam dunk as we think, and there could be some other external candidates, maybe some, veteran guys, some newer guys. I don't know. We'll throw some names out there. You guys can let us know sort of what you think of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you can expect sort of on that Thursday episode this week. But now we're gonna actually get into some NHL playoff talk, as I say, as I think the game's over now, but
Yes.
Boston absolutely ruled Florida. So we're gonna get into that, but before we do, we're gonna hear a word from our sponsor, DraftKings. I'm gonna fix my lighting situation, which if you were watching on YouTube, I'm gonna clip that because that was insanity. I think my little USB hub gave up on me, but we're going to hear a word from DraftKings. I'll have better lighting, and we will see you in a few minutes.
The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of playoff beards all the way till hoisting the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. And welcome back into episode 90 of the Level Flight podcast. I have better lighting again. I discovered
Boom. We're
what
back.
happened. This is a lot of new lighting equipment that I just set up, and I've got a powered USB hub that became unpowered in several of the slots, losing two of my lights and then changing the input on another. So all things considered, I have no idea how I kept rolling through my points there, but that was
All thing
that's grace
all
under
things
pressure. That's why we're
yeah,
professionals.
exactly. All things considered, no one in your apartment complex has power anymore, but we're rolling. We're good to go.
Yeah, everyone around me, I've drained the entire power supply from the building, but
Exactly.
you know
Yeah.
what? That doesn't matter. What does matter? The NHL playoffs round 2 started
Boom.
yesterday, oddly enough, when there was still a game 7 from
Yeah.
round 1 on, but I digress. We now finally have all matchups set up. I already mentioned Boston and Florida. Boston takes game 1. I don't think anyone really expected that.
Wild. Yeah.
We already had Carolina, New York. Rangers look real good.
Yeah.
But in terms of sort of more, recognizable matchups for, Jets fans, you've got the all Canadian matchup, you've got Vancouver and Edmonton. That's just sure to be exciting. But we also have the Colorado Avalanche, who obviously dispatched the Jets fairly easily. They're taking on the Dallas Stars. I know we have spoken at length as to why we think Dallas is our cup contender. But after seeing what Colorado did to the Jets, I don't know anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But Connor, what is your sort of? I was going to say go to, but just your matchup that you're most excited for.
Dallas, Colorado. And I don't think it's even close. Like maybe it's close with Carolina, New York. And I would say if Thatcher Demko was playing for the Canucks, that would be number 1 because an all Canadian matchup in the second round. Was he? Okay. Well,
Yep.
if Demko plays, then that shoots up to number 1. Again, I don't know how healthy he would be even if he did play, but an all Canadian matchup in round 2 would be it is going to be unbelievable. But without Demko, I just feel like the Canucks really have no chance. That might age poorly. But
so put some respect on Arthur Shilov's name.
Hey man, he was cooking in the first round, so maybe
he was.
He was. But back to Colorado, Dallas. I just think Dallas Vegas was such a classic. Colorado looked so good against the Jets. We saw it. We got a front row seat to that. It's like power versus power. Like the two best teams in the Central going at it. The 5-man unit that I talked about in Colorado going up against Dallas and their depth and their high-end talent with Miro Heiskanen, who seems to be underrated somehow. Like he's one of the best defensemen in the NHL, but barely gets talked about, or at least in these circles, I guess. Texas is pretty far away from Winnipeg. So, but anyways, I think that is the series for me. The entertainment value is fully there. If Demko was playing the all Canadian matchup, Carolina, New York as well. I think whoever comes out of that series is my cup pick in the East. That's not like a crazy hot take. They'd have one more series to go, but I did not expect Boston to go in there and beat Florida 5-1 in game 1. Jeremy Swayman's playing on another level right now. And Boston, hey, if they upset Florida, that would be something else. Maybe they're going to the cup final. I'm just so excited because I feel like these playoffs had a slower start and now we're really going. Like these are really good teams, really good matchups, and I'm just super excited. What is your go-to playoff series as second round gets underway?
I'm gonna be boring. I'm gonna choose the same thing. Like,
yeah,
after seeing,
I get it though.
Like truly, like you see Colorado plays just this high octane. They
So much
dare
fun
you
to
to
watch.
try and stop them, but then you see Dallas, who they play that I can stop you style. Bringing in a guy like Chris Tanev to secure your blue line. It's like I saw a thing today where Dallas outscored the Vegas top line with Chris Tanev on the ice 5-0, which
he would have looked so
that Vegas
good
top line, very good.
Tanev would have looked
But
so
Dallas
good in jet
has,
blue.
yeah. I wishful thinking. I wonder what could have been if they managed to get into the Chris Tanev sweepstakes, but it's in the past. Can't do anything about it now, and instead of just watching Chris Tanev try and roll their way to a Stanley Cup. But it's hard to argue against this series being like the number one, must watch TV because you've got clearly one of the best teams in terms of like what people have picked in Dallas. And you have another team that I think everyone underrated going into the first round because they were struggling in Colorado, turned it on. We saw it firsthand. Nightmare situation with how insanely, talented they are. Head to head in a 7-game series when, he was good in the first round for the most part, but Jake Ottinger can sometimes be up and down. We know that Georgiev over the season was a little bit rough. He tightened it up later in the series, but it's hard to argue against that one being the number one, must-see TV series for the rest of this playoff run. And then I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. Your second round predictions. Who do you have moving on?
This is great, and it's different in what I'm rooting for and what I actually think is going to happen. I really desperately want an Avs Oilers conference final in the West. I just feel like McDavid versus McKinnon, like that's just prime hockey. Like that's like the best of the best, two best players in the NHL going at it. That would be so much fun. Anyways, I think Dallas beats Colorado. I think it goes the distance. I think it's going to be 7 games. Dallas was my cup pick before the playoffs started. I'm going to stick with them. Dallas in 7. I'll go Oilers in 5. I just don't really believe in the Canucks. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're different on that, but I'm gonna go Carolina in 6, maybe Carolina in 7. Carolina in 7 because they already are down 1-0, but I like them to win the series. And then I'm also gonna go Florida in 6 as well. I think Boston took game 1, but Florida will regroup and the high end talent will win out there. So Florida, Carolina, Dallas, Edmonton is my final 4. What have you got?
Very similar, but there is one
Mhm.
difference. So through the West, we're the exact same. I do think the Edmonton Vancouver series, I think, is going to be a bit more, competitive than you give it credit for. I
Okay,
mean,
fair. Yeah.
we've seen that Vancouver can sometimes shoot away their troubles, but
True.
that can take them to a certain point. I do still think Edmonton comes out on top. I do agree with Dallas. They are the team that has the capability to slow Colorado down a little bit. In the East, I also have Florida moving on, but where we differ is I have the Rangers in 7. So
Wow. Okay.
I do tend to cheer for the Hurricanes. I do, like a lot of their guys. I'm a big fan of guys like Seth Jarvis and all them. But um, yeah, I have a feeling that New York's gonna really sort of just play. We've seen what they've done because they play such an incredible team style that
Yeah.
everyone seems to be involved at all times, and I just don't know if when they're running that smoothly, I don't know who can stop them. So I've
Yeah.
got
I'm with you.
the Rangers coming through into the Eastern Conference Final from that one.
If the Rangers power play is clicking, then I feel a lot worse about my Hurricanes pick. So I do agree with you on that point. But I think Carolina's penalty kill was really good this year. So maybe they'll rebound from a rough game 1 in that department. And hopefully my prediction will become right. But I think Edmonton Carolina is the finals I'm rooting for. A rematch from
Rematch
'06. Yeah.
2006.
Oh yeah. And I want to see Connor McDavid win the Stanley Cup. But if for the finals in the West, as long as the Avs or Oilers make it just for pure entertainment value, anyone can come out of the East. And I think the finals would be super fun to watch. Not to say Vancouver in the finals wouldn't be fun or Dallas in the finals wouldn't be fun. I just think purely, I mean, like our team is out, purely going for entertainment value. I want to watch McKinnon and McDavid for as long as possible and see McDavid win a cup, hopefully, because he's running out. Well, he's not running out of time. Like he's still kind of young. He's in the middle of his prime, so he's not running out of time. But like we got to get going here. If you're gonna build a legacy, like you got to win your first cup at some point here. So I want to see the Oilers win it. Do you have like a rooting winner versus like an actual pick winner that we just made?
For me, as I said, I gravitate towards Carolina.
Yeah.
Big fan of Rod Brindamore. Mentioned a couple other
Oh
guys,
yeah.
but no, if I could choose something based on my rooting interest, it would be Carolina. But I just think they're in so tough against New York.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. There's our round 2
Well,
preview.
yeah, there's a round 2 preview, and obviously we're going to have way more on the games that either have happened or will happen. Going forward, that'll be a little bit of a touch, on that in our Thursday episode 91, the Cole Perfetti episode, the
Boom.
Yuri Talusti episode. There was a bunch of guys who've worn 91. Did Alex Vermeestrov wear 91 at any point?
I thought he was maybe. I thought he was just 8.
He had 6 too, I think, at some point.
I said that so disrespectfully. He was just 8. Ugh.
Wow.
8's kind of a rock star
No,
number
I'll
for a
have to do
forward, though.
some research on that because for some reason I recall multiple people wearing 91 in addition to Talusti and Perfetti.
Yeah. This was the
But
Chibrikov
yeah,
episode, 90.
yeah,
And also the amount of years that Rick Bowness coached in the NHL, 90.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's episode 90 for you.
Yeah, and 91 will be rolling at you first thing on Thursday morning. A lot of
Mhm.
coaching talk, a lot of playoff talk. We're around the corner here. The Gold Eyes won today, and there's some preseason action down in Kansas City. I had some good stuff there. So regular season there is coming around soon.
Wait, hold on. We have to mention Milt Stiegel signed a 1-day contract to participate and practice in Bombers rookie camp. I believe on, I don't know what day, May 8th. Did I read that correctly? Or maybe it's May 18th. I remember there being an 8 in there. But anyways, Milt Stiegel's back at 54 years old practicing with the Bombers. It's nuts. But I don't think it's not going to go anywhere, but I think it's just hilarious that this is happening. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing all the content to come out of that. We'll
sure.
touch on that whenever we hear more about it. But so that's a wrap on episode 90. Best of luck in your retirement, Rick Bowness. We appreciate the work you put in to help right the ship here, and it may not have ended perfectly, but there's a lot of fun memories there. But from myself and Connor, thank you for listening to episode 90 of the Level Flight podcast. We will see you first thing Thursday morning and first thing Sunday morning. And we hope you have a great rest of your week. See ya.
Yep.